We'll do a 10-minute, 10-second.
Well, good evening and welcome to Pretty Petty Politics. This evening, I'm joined by Dr. Leticia Plummer, candidate for Harris County Judge. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
I'm excited to get on the show.
Absolutely. So, our first question is always the same for every guest.
Okay.
Tell us about your first time voting or a memorable time. But I like to hear about first time. But if you have a memorable time, that works too.
Gosh, I've been voting for so long. I will tell you a memorable time.
Okay.
Memorable time. My grandmother, just before she passed away, last time she voted, actually before she passed, when we had the drive-up voting after COVID.
Yes.
She had a ballot in her hand, and I told her to drop it in the box, and she says, "No, baby, I am not putting that in the box. You take me and go give it to a person. I don't trust these people," is what she said. Forget that. She's like, let me give it to. She got the person's name and who they were and everything, and then she said, "Okay, here's my ballot."
Fine. Love it.
That was really cool.
I love that. Okay, so you are currently Houston City Council, or more recent, formally very recent.
Yes,
But Houston City Council at large, twice elected.
yes.
Okay, tell us about your political journey. I know you ran for Congressional District 22, and then 2020 you ran, and it was a competitive in 2018.
Yeah, it was.
You had a runoff.
I did. I made to the runoff.
Yeah,
Phil Carney. Yeah.
And then you pivoted over to Houston City Council at large after City Councilwoman Amanda Edwards vacated her seat.
Exactly.
Tell us about this journey. Like, what has it been like? Why the races that you ran for?
Of course. So I will tell you, I've never had any plans of being in politics. I practiced dentistry 25 years. But I kind of went through a tragedy in my life. I lost custody of my son in a surrogacy battle.
Okay.
And when that happened, I found myself, I created an organization for intended parents, like the non-biological parent, and we got legislation passed at the state. And when that happened, I really saw how important just regular folks' voices were and how easy it was to get things passed, legislatively. I really looked at running for office. And then I was tapped by the group Brand New Congress.
Okay. I
remember them? Yeah. And they were looking for non-politicians to run for Congress.
Yes.
And I got, recruited by them, and that's how I ran. So it really wasn't anything that I planned on doing, but the journey's been interesting. I pivoted from that congressional race to city council just because we had done so well and the momentum was on fire. And so we made 15 people were in that city council race, which was like, wow. We did good. We made sure it was a runoff race. I was running against Wayne Delfino's.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. And then we were able to be successful. So it's been a great journey. And I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Okay, excellent. And now you're running for Harris County Judge. Tell us, what is this pivot about? Leaving city council, you've had one full term and a half term.
Right.
What made you choose this seat to pursue?
So once again, never planned on doing anything. We heard that Judge Hidalgo was not coming for re-election, and I saw Anise Parker was the only one on the ballot, and everybody was scared because she would have so much money and so much influence. But I know her politics is incredibly central. She's centrist, kind of conservative, and I had just done so much quality of life work on council. I was term limited. I just felt like we needed my voice. Like my voice was necessary from a progressive perspective.
Okay.
And I got in. Of course, so many people were like, "What are you doing?"
I was one of those right now.
you running? Why would you run against Denise Parker?
Yeah, I don't even think it was that. I
Yeah.
think it was
Why me?
like you just got elected to this and you're a year in.
Well, with no second time though. I've already
You
done.
just been reelected.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now you're
So what ends up happening, such a good question. What ends up happening is about a year out of your final term, you're called, you're kind of, everyone's running already.
Mhm.
Everyone's announced.
Like a lame duck
You
session.
really are lame duck, right? And so, and I've done my job. Like, other than representing the people of Houston, I did everything that I set out to do. All of my policy initiatives got passed. I put tons of things forward, got through 6 storms, got through COVID. Like, we've done really great work. And I think what happens oftentimes is people just stay. They just stay, and then they just stay. And this isn't like my real job. Like, I'm not a politician. I felt like, okay, I have to make a decision. Okay, because the window's gonna close. Anise is gonna get a ton more, traction. I knew I had to exit in July because I wanted my race to be on the ballot with CD18.
okay.
That would drive out the Black vote. It could potentially increase the chances of a person of color to win my seat that is historically Black, right? And that was my goal. And that's kind of why that date was so important. I didn't want to spend millions of dollars on the city budget to have a special election.
Okay.
So it was very methodical, very strategic. And
I'm sure the county clerk's office appreciates that.
oh, I know they do. I mean, and I didn't want to be a burden. Like, I really didn't want my raise to add to the deficit the city of Houston was already in. Unlike what you're seeing with District C. It's an extra $1 million now that we're putting on there. And so I didn't just haphazardly make this decision. It was very calculated. It was intentional. And I felt like no one else was going to get in this race. And because I guess she just scares the bejeebies out of people, I guess. But I was like, screw it. Why not? I mean, I've got nothing to lose.
Okay. Now, so I usually ask 1 or 2 hard questions.
Yeah.
I can do one now.
Yeah.
So you were reelected in 2023. So you had a runoff election in December.
Yes.
23. You took office for your second term at the top of 24.
Yes.
Middle of 24, Sheila Jackson Lee passes.
Yeah.
And you hop in that race.
Yes.
What was that decision about? Why did you?
Not in Sheila's race.
No,
in the previous chair race. Yeah, previous chair race.
So
Yes.
she passed because of that vacancy.
Yes.
After being back in office for 8 months.
Yes. Yeah.
Why did you run for that?
No, great question. So first, I could safely do it.
Mm-hmm.
I had done so much work in Fifth Ward. So my cancer cluster project was a legacy project. All the work that I did in the Fifth Ward community. And to be honest with you, I felt like, obviously, Turner was in there. Amanda was in there as well. There were multitude of other, the whole bunch of us in there.
Jarvis,
If I could be frank with you, I had just been on the ground so much in that community. I wanted to make sure that people knew what the expectation was, and putting out the things that we had accomplished, putting out the work that we done in that particular community, showing people that it was an opportunity for something to change, truly change in that district, was what I was doing. And I knew it was safe. I checked with legal. We had put, so everyone always says, well, your 5 votes could have gone to Amanda. Let's put all this out there, right? And she would have won, and it wouldn't have been, and Turner wouldn't have won. But that's not true. So let me tell you what happened. I'll give you all the I'll give you all the
I want this tea.
I'm gonna give you all the tea, because this is all the rumors. I kind of messed everything up. Okay. So when we called the precinct chairs, originally they didn't know how they were going to run that precinct race.
Okay.
And they talked about doing ranked choice voting. Have you heard of ranked choice voting? Okay. So everyone picks a number. So Turner's my number 1, Plummer's my number 2.
Oh, you said
ranked choice.
Oh, yeah. Ranked choice.
It was supposed to be ranked choice voting, right? And so I called the precinct chairs and I said, can I be your number 2?
Mhm.
Or can I be your number one, whatever that looked like. And so the 5 votes that I got, 3 of those votes, Turner was the number 2. The other 2 votes, Amanda was the number 2.
Mhm.
I was the number 1. And so that's what happened. I didn't give my votes to anybody. I didn't barter with Turner till I give him my votes to make him win. They were just the number 2s. And the 5 people that voted for me had been on the ground with me. They were committed to the work that I've done. They were huge believers.
She done told them, y'all somewhere in 5th Ward. She just told us.
Well, no, it was good. It was. I think that's the beautiful thing about democracy.
Yeah.
And so that's how Turner ended up taking that seat.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a spoiler or anything like that. I got more, really the second level of votes than anyone else. The other folks that were in there, and that was because of my record. It was for no other reason other than the work that we had done in that cancer cluster.
I was shocked. I was like, why did she? You know.
Yeah.
I'm like, she just started her 2nd term. Why is she over here running for this? Because it made it seem at that time, you know, when I did my recap, I'm like, what is Dr. Plummer looking to do? Because this is a lot of races in a very short amount of time.
No, it's 2 races.
No.
So
I mean, from 2018 to 24.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
Right. No, well, so in the whole scheme of things, not really. I started in Congress.
Mhm.
In my mind, I wanted to end in Congress,
Mhm.
right? That was my mindset.
Okay.
There was an opportunity to represent a historical district. Obviously, laying the groundwork was what my plan was,
Mhm.
right? And you know, it may seem random, but I don't do anything random. Everything that I do is incredibly strategic and it's well planned out. And you know, I'm just be fully honest with you. People vote for folks oftentimes because of popularity.
Okay.
We need to redefine why we vote for people. It can't be based on popularity. It has to be based on your record. It just has to be. And if you don't look at people's records and then make a decision, then you can't go back and complain about things not getting done in your community. And I ran on my record. And when we did our opening speech, I mean, a litany of stuff. No one else talked about the work that they had done. Mayor Turner did, obviously, because he, done a lot of really good work. But other than that, no one had done any really current, active work within that community. And I felt like,
ooh, that's tough.
that voice was necessary.
That's a tough statement.
Yeah, no, I'm just very honest. And I'm not saying that the work that the other candidates had done wasn't important. No, but I'm talking about real life, doing it right now, not like historical work, but doing the work right now. I had parked in 5th Ward, in Catherine Gardens and Acres Homes. Like most of the work that I've done at City Hall was done in District B. In District D, a little bit in District D, but mostly within District B. And so I thought that, I felt like my voice was necessary. This is not. I'm honestly, I think politics, the reason why people are exhausted and what I hear and heard over and over and over again is nothing gets done. You don't see anything changing, and you wonder why people don't vote. Right? People don't vote because they're not engaged. They don't believe that we're going to do anything and really accomplish anything. And so, anyway, I'm not jacking anyone when I say that. I'm really not. I'm just really, genuinely here. But it's not like I'm floundering or trying to figure out what I'm landing or what I'm doing. I was intentional about it. I mean, that was a once in a lifetime opportunity. That will never open up again.
The 18. I mean, it opened up just these past 11 months.
Yeah, but it's also redistrict.
I mean, not when you
And
first started.
but I'm saying like now hypothetically saying, if you didn't get redistrict and then if you won, you can stay there. Right? These seats, they're not term limited. So when you have a sliver of an opportunity to represent a district that she lived, right? I mean, live like she's from Georgia, like all those historical folks, when you really want to get shit done.
So you are a politician.
Am I a politician? I mean, I guess I am a politician now because I've now served 2 terms and I'm running for a county judge race. So yes, I'm a politician. Do I think like a politician? I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't. I don't have, I don't care who gets it done. Just want to see it get done.
Okay.
And so I genuinely want people to see something change in their lives.
Okay. So what do you say to communities south, the southern communities? I know you mentioned Fifth Ward, Third Ward. And I remember when I served with the NAACP, that was the tradition. A lot of times the work went to those two communities mainly. And one of the things we prided ourselves on while I was serving during the pandemic was to expand that work across the city and the county. So we did work out in District F and A-Leaf, down in Hiram Clark. What projects did you have in those communities?
Yeah, so not much in the Hiram Clark area, I'll be honest with you. Well, we'll say, no, back up, I'll say this. My apartment inspection reform ordinance covered the entire city.
Right.
It was.
But what specific, like for District K or District F or District?
I'm at large members.
I know, that's why I'm making all those.
So honestly, at large members are more policy driven positions. And so I would say that my apartment ordinance would affect and change people's lives in those districts. My advocacy for drainage projects would affect, because it's worst first. Instead of like focusing on a specific district, I would say that I really support people that were low income.
Right. I only mentioned it because you repeated Fifth Ward, and which is District B. And Third Ward, which is District D. So I'm like, well, as an at-large member, but you actually did specific things. I was asking, did you do any specific work or collaborative efforts with those districts?
Oh, oh, absolutely. Like, for example, Central Point was going in and putting in this huge transformer in District K. I advocated for the community there. If District F, not a ton probably in District F and A-Leaf. District C, obviously the apartment stuff, all the bike lanes I advocated for. It just depends on kind of what was happening in those particular communities. But you know, the role is at large versus to support the district member, right? And so, so whenever they need assistance or help, then I would jump in and help out. Air quality stuff, all that kind of, all the air quality challenges in Deer Park. And you know, Pleasantville area. I was there doing those things. Kind of going through big on disaster recovery, flood prevention, flood issues, definitely environmental challenges in A. Probably go down the whole thing and kind of list off things that we did, but we definitely touched every single district. Yeah, for sure.
Next question: where do you live? Are you in District D? What district do you live in?
I originally lived in District K.
Okay.
And then I'm now in District D.
Okay. Did you ever live in Pearland?
I did live in Pearland.
Prior to?
I raised my family in Pearland.
Okay.
Yeah. When they were little. I moved out to Pearland in 2018.
Oh, okay.
So when I ran for Congress, I did not live in CD18.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
CD 22. Yeah.
I didn't live in 22.
Because that's been a lingering question of mine. Like,
well, you don't have to. So when you run for Congress,
I know you don't have to. I take political science.
The listeners understand that.
Oh, I tell them all the time.
Yeah.
But it's important. I think it's important that the representative, if you want to represent me, you live with me.
Okay. So what I say to that and what I said on the campaign trail when I ran for CD22, my business.
Absolutely.
I was in there. I served the community.
Right.
I think that's what you want to do, right? You want to serve the community. And I did 25 years. Well, at the time, it's probably like 15, 16, practicing dentistry. So I raised my family in the area. You know, my mom and dad lived in the community. I ran my business. I paid taxes to Pearland. You know.
I know plenty of people that are impatient.
Yes.
I think it's wonderful that you had that wherewithal, but I wondered about it and others have asked me, so I'm like, oh, let me do that.
Yeah, this is good.
So let's switch to the county.
Okay.
So we got this race. What are your top 3 priorities as county judge?
So I'm looking at public safety as number one, and I don't mean putting more constables or sheriffs on the ground.
Okay.
I'm talking about looking at root causes of crime and why crime exists.
Okay.
Looking at our jails, you know, the Harris County Jail is literally a mental health hospital.
Yes, the large
right, which is the challenge for me. We are, you know, we're shipping, you know, 1,500 of the 9,000
to
to Louisiana. That's a real problem for me. We cannot pass the state guidelines in terms of, because we're overpopulated, we're understaffed. So I really want to look at that public safety arm is going to be a big part of me moving forward. How do we do, you know, how do we look at nonviolent offenders, giving them some vocational training, getting them into a place where they can actually live their lives when they're not incarcerated, doing everything on our power to build another jail, right?
Okay.
That's number one. Number two is the public health side. I mean, my medical background, I really want to make sure we continue to fund our public health system. I got my start with Harris Health. I opened up Strawberry and Gold Gate Dental Clinic. So I got my start there as a young dentist, looking and treating people you know, in Harris County. And so really making sure it's funded, that public health, you know, access to education, medical education, kind of that safety net of healthcare. And I think the last one probably the economic opportunities. One work that I did at the city, was working with OBO minority businesses, was finding ways when we moved toward a co-op program on procurement, instead of giving all of it to Granger or all of it to Home Depot, how do we work within the confines of the state and do a carve out? And we had to be real creative, but we did it. And so now small to mid-sized businesses can do business in the cities under a co-op. At the county, I think we're at 8% maybe minority engagement on procurement. That's a challenge. And so one piece I put in at the city, which I'll do at the county too, is the rotation. So every single of these big vendors, they have to rotate out so others could come in and be a part of the conversation and be a part of that financial, economic, you know, absolutely. And then the other part of the economic is workforce development. Working with vocational schools, working with, you know, creating apprenticeship programs. We're losing the one in Metro, the mechanics apprenticeship program. But how do we fund those and create those so we can create our own workforce? There's lots of work to do, but those are the three kind of spaces that I'm going to, you know, focus on forward. Obviously, my job is infrastructure, disaster recovery, resilience. That's my job. So when we have a storm, I gotta be ready. So I probably put that as number one, but I'm gonna do that regardless.
Yeah. So let's stick with the workforce. Do you have any particular plans or visions around partnerships, and how do you foresee that falling into place?
Yeah, so a lot of it's workforce, a lot of it's public-private partnerships.
Okay.
And then it's working with the unions as well. All of the unions have amazing apprenticeship programs. They've got vocational programs, work with our community colleges. A lot of young people don't want to go to college necessarily. So how do we work with those and partner with them? And then obviously, you know, we're talking about the end and graduation, but we've got to do that early childhood. We've got to make sure we, you know, put programs or support programs for kids during the summer. You know, the city of Houston does the Higher Houston, working during the summertime. Love the county do something like that as well. Like getting them ready to move in and be ready for workforce. And then, you know, I've been looking at some other opportunities across other states when it comes to nonviolent offenders and people, you know, folks that have misdemeanors, and they're actually building facilities where they can oversee the inmates, but give them education support that they need. That's creating workforce as well. We spend about $54,000 a year on an inmate. We could put them through college in 4 years, right? So how do we look and reallocate those resources to where we're not only supporting the communities, we're also supporting people that can have a second chance.
So would you still support them when their time is up? Because they only serve a year in county jail. So you would continue to support their education after they serve their time.
Right, or at least give them a start so that they can transition into.
I'm like 4 years.
Oh, no, I'm saying $54,000 we pay for a 4-year education.
Right.
So I'm saying that we use some of those resources and give them the tools they may need to be able to move forward in life.
Yeah, okay. Now, I like this is like one of my favorite chapters in my textbook.
Okay.
I teach Texas. I like the challenge of Texas government, but I love federal government.
Okay.
But one thing I do appreciate in when I'm teaching Texas government is talking about local and county government, right? When it comes to our county jail, do you know what about the population is convicted, so to speak?
You mean probably the hard crime?
No, no. Where they have been sentenced to jail versus those who are there awaiting trial or who have not made bail. Because it's basically two different populations
Absolutely.
at one location.
Yeah. No, I don't know the specific number.
Okay.
I don't know the specific number. I just know that we have 9,000 people there,
Mhm.
1,500 are sent away
Yeah.
to other states. But I don't know the specific.
So those would
the
probably be the
number.
ones who have been sentenced to county
More
jail
than
and get
likely.
sentenced away.
Yeah, more than likely.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's get to the big job, right? The main job of the county judge is absolutely emergency management and disaster recovery, all of those things, which can be an explosion, could be the environmental stuff that happens with those flares out there along 225,
Yes.
you know, or 146, but also hurricanes.
Mhm.
And we had I hate to say it like this, we had a good summer. Right? So that makes it a little bit scary, you know, because I felt like winter was gonna be a little brutal because we didn't have any storms. And January was pretty active. Hopefully, we don't get any more like freezing cold. But what are your plans? What, I guess, studies or efforts have you prepared yourself for to handle emergency management? Like, I don't know what your undergraduate was. We know you're a dentist, but like, what do you bring in knowledge and maybe education or training that prepares you to manage such a serious and vital role as county judge?
Right. So no, I didn't have any formal education in it at all, but I had 6 storms to deal with, and I'm at large, which meant I had to be at the Office of Emergency Management. We had to organize our volunteers. We had to get out there and know where it hit the hardest, support people that were experiencing those. I went through COVID, which is in my mind, a natural disaster. It was horrible. And so I think that, and this is kind of what sets me apart from my opponent, is that she hasn't been through those. She hasn't physically been through those. And so starting from the disaster, giving them ideas and kind of sitting in the office around the table, conference table, giving them our ideas and concepts of how we can train people that can be there in the first 72 hours. You know, I was one that funded the Casual Gardens generator. So really being proactive. There's no multi-purpose center ever had a generator. That was my initiative. You know, we got that done. So being more proactive versus reactive is really what I want to do. Okay. The resources that we're putting in local drainage projects. You know, our job at the city is to get the water in the hole that the county creates, right? And so that's been the last 5.5 years, almost 6 years, doing our part from a local drainage perspective to get the water in the hole that Harris County Flood Control manages. And so we create this, if we put shovels in the ground, we get our level of infrastructure leveled up a little bit. Then when we do have a storm that comes, we're not in a position to where we're flooding as much. That's really what we have to do. The storm is going to come, but how prepared are we for the storm is the big question. I work hand in hand with the General Land Office to make sure that these houses got rebuilt during Harvey.
That was a struggle because GLO has not been very friendly to Harris County at all.
No, they haven't, but we were able, and this is why I'm so good for this job. Mayor Turner didn't have a great relationship with the state, okay? And so GLO really made it hard for us to get these houses rebuilt. And instead of us focusing on the relationship between and the kind of the vice, right? We were able to really work around that, work directly with GLO and got the houses built. And not the ones that they wanted to build. They wanted their garages back. And GLO didn't want to do that. So we advocated for those communities across the city, honestly, to make it happen. So to go back to your point, no, I don't have any formal education from it.
No, I mean, like trainings or workshops to learn about,
on the job,
to increase your knowledge and understanding of emergency services?
Yeah, on the job.
Okay.
Every single time we had a disaster, I was at the Office of Emergency Management.
Mhm.
I was sitting, working with Center Point to
Mhm.
understand where things were happening, what communities need, what things we could do differently to get messaging to the ground. We did one thing that was hugely supportive is multiple languages.
Mhm.
Putting out messages in multiple languages, and so just really experiencing the storm, right? Then getting out there and being on the ground to see what's happening, and then going back to city and finding resources and funding to allow those folks to be able to get back on their feet. So yeah, life lessons, real life experience.
Excellent. So you mentioned relationships, how you worked around that with GLO. Tell us about your relationships. I'm going to do 3 parts.
Okay.
Tell us about your relationship with the current county commissioners. So with the court now as it stands with the 4 commissioners, what are your relationships? What have your relationships been with them prior to this announcement? And where do you see those relationships going?
Okay.
Firstly.
Okay. Yeah. So we all have to work together. So I'll give you kind of examples, case in point examples. So with Commissioner Ellis, a lot of the work obviously I've done in that fifth ward community have been aligned with what he was doing. During COVID, I tried to put a program forward called Cahoots. It's kind of like a crisis intervention, and Mayor Trump at the time, we weren't able to implement it. We were trying to find out the funding. Commissioner Ellis kind of took that concept idea, and now it's called HEART.
Okay.
So those kinds of key, when I put my apartment inspection ordinance in place, Mayor Turner didn't really implement it at the time. Commissioner Ellis looked at it, liked it, and we put an addendum to all of the contracts. Anyone gets 9% and 4% on these new affordable housing. He put an addendum in there, and so those are kind of projects that we've worked together on. In terms of Commissioner Garcia, most of it is the mobile health unit that he's put in place, which has been amazing. In terms of Briones, shared services. So we are now sharing parks. And so Christian Briones and I have worked really closely together to find ways for the city of Houston and the county to share services to cut costs and adopt the parks of ours, which has been phenomenal. In terms of Commissioner Ramsey, because this area is not really in the city of Houston, we don't really have a great, not a great relationship. We have a work relationship with them. But I did make an appointment with them. I sat down with him for an hour, and I understand what his thoughts are and how we can work together. And so I feel very, very comfortable that when we bring this Harris County judge race, I will be able to work with all of them in a very symbiotic, respectful manner and really get things done for the county.
Okay. Next, I want to ask you about your working relationship with Mayor John Whitmire.
Yeah. So,
because Houston is the largest.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I would love to add this, the 34 cities in the county. And so one thing that I want to put in place is more of a global kind of governance perspective to really work with all of the different.
I'm getting there.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. So in terms of Whitmire, we don't see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. But one thing that I've been able to get done is a lot of stuff under his administration. My apartment ordinance did not get passed yet, but I am hoping and praying it will get passed soon. He was very supportive of the cancer cluster. He actually, Mayor Turner put aside a $5 million relocation cost, and Mayor Whitmire reallocated those resources for me. So I was able to do direct outreach, healthcare. So worked really, together on that. I'm not crazy about taking bike lanes, and I'm really having a hard time on this ice situation. So clearly we don't see eye to eye, but I will say this, when the storm comes, we will be able to have a press conference together. We're going to find a way to work together because the county cannot afford to do it without the city.
Have you built any rapport relationships with the other 30 plus mayors of Harris County? And if so, could you tell us about maybe 1 or 2 of them? Like for instance, Mayor Hamilton down in LaPorte. Right? Because LaPorte, right?
Absolutely.
Or Pasadena, those areas, because those will be big areas of concern. Should you be elected?
No, they absolutely will. So I haven't yet booked appointments with them, but I'm going to reach out. It's definitely on the scale to reach out with them and meet with them. Really just trying to get the community understanding a bit better Because those areas, like I've been to all of those areas, right, and heard from them to see what their challenges are. And then now I can kind of get my mind together and then approach the leadership there and then engage them.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now, I gotta ask you this question.
Yeah, of course.
Shit, total shit gears.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna look at you. I'm gonna say, look here, sorority sister.
Okay.
Got these right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did you do that press conference at Good Hope and say all of these murders? Why did you reference the bodies found in the bayou as murders?
I never said murders.
You did.
No, I did not. I said it was just, I was pleased to play that thing back. I never said they were murders. Murders insinuate someone's dying. My goal, I'm so glad I talked about this, is so good. My goal to do the press conference was because my community asked for it. Okay. And when my community asks for something, I get in front of them and we talk about the conversation. I was the only person that could call the medical examiners, call HPD, and get true numbers. They wanted to know who is dying, what race they are, what gender they are, and where the hell are they from. My goal was to dismay any understanding or idea that there was a serial killer. And I gave factual data from HPD and from the medical examiner's office and gave people something to hang on to. And so I never said they were murders. As a matter of fact, you can pull that script and send that to me. I told people that there's not a serial killer. HPD is saying there's not a serial killer because you cannot find any correlations between no patterns. And I just try to educate those. I told them how long it takes for the medical examiners to do a autopsy. You know, where are these people? I didn't give any names, but I talked about age and gender and I talked about, like, you know, a lot of Black men are dying. And that is something that maybe we need to look at. And so that press conference was necessary. We had the support of multiple community leaders that were there. TSU came, U of H students came, because they were scared too. They wanted to make sure they felt safe. So, and Mayor Whitmire was doing his things kind of in that room. And I just didn't feel like
you need to be out.
We need to be out with the people. And we did Good Hope. I'll be honest with you. Tamara Bell arranged it. It was a place that she has a great relationship with the pastor there. And so we did it there. We were kind of off of the deal because we didn't want Good Hope to be, to feel like it was like on their property, but we had the bayou behind us. And people raved about it. I mean, they were really happy that we did it. I think that we kind of calmed the nerves a little bit. I think TikTok does what TikTok does. But the goal was to let people know that they are Black people, they are Hispanics, they are young babies. A car wakes up, how these people passed away. And I think once they got that information and heard, Bayou Partnership came. So a lot of the people that were part of the conversation were there. I think it was important for us to dispel any of those rumors of being a serial killer.
Yeah. Sticking with bayous.
Okay.
Because that body, or those bodies of water, 2,500 miles, the county is responsible for managing that. What are your top 2 or 3, let's do top 3. What are your top 3 goals when it comes to water safety and management of these bayous here in Harris County that, all of them pretty much pour into Buffalo, right? So what are your ideas or goals around managing the bayous?
Well, one thing that we have to first do is work with Public Works better. Okay, so we have to make sure that our infrastructure gets the water in there. We've got to build a 3rd reservoir. We've got to get a 3rd reservoir built. That's incredibly important. And then just making sure that, the bayous are large enough to drain the water, and that we need to. But I mean, other than that, the bayous are there and they serve a huge purpose for us. Absolutely. They're massive, but we got to get the water to the bayou. That's where the glitch is. That's really what the glitch is. And expand them as necessary. The things that happened in Ireland, don't happen. And that was one big thing that, when they did the expansion project, and they came up with a big storage, storage.
I don't know what the word is.
Yeah. And they're bored, and Constitution Texas League, and everyone's like, an outrage. We cannot drain everything in our McGregor. Because if things don't happen in Ireland, and so kind of working with TechStop, working with the CARES County Flood, working with, the community and understanding that these are storage units. They're gonna store water and then they're gonna slowly release. And we're gonna be aware of them. But this is why this kind of overarching regional approach is so important, because what we do in downtown, the I-45 expansion, all of the cement that we're laying down is going to affect how water drains.
Yeah, downstream.
And we have to be cognizant of that. And so having that kind of regional approach is going to be important. And me being able to be on the Houston Area Galveston Council allowed me to sit at the table with all of these different counties and understand relationships and who wants what and how they want to do things, how challenging it is sometimes to get it done. But I was able to be at the table with them.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So I don't think we have any questions on screen because we haven't been notified. But go ahead and share. First of all, thank you for joining us. I know you have to run. You have another event or interview, but tell the viewers where they can find out more about you and your campaign and anything else you want to leave.
Yeah, first, thank you. Because it's so good to have those questions, and people do the hard questions, but I love them because they're clarifying questions. And I think that getting the right information out is so important. So thank you.
You're welcome
for asking those to me. This is so good. So yes, I need y'all. We are running a very grassroots efforts campaign. We are on all social media platforms. We just hit 1.1 million views on one of our videos on TikTok.
Excellent.
Officially,
you went
so please follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. We are doing block walks every Sunday from 3 to 6, not Super Bowl Sunday. We're moving it to Saturday. I do a virtual town hall every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. But early voting starts, we'll do it at 8 o'clock. We'll move it to 8 o'clock after voting happens. But we're looking for volunteers. We're trying to call 189,000 folks. And we are more than halfway there. And so we need support. This is the people power campaign. I'm running for you and I want to represent you. So any support that you can give us, we would really appreciate it. We can get this thing done. We really do have a chance to win this.
Did you give me your website?
So our website is www.drleticiaplummer.com, and all of my information is on there. We're rolling out policies every Wednesday. My big policy initiatives we rolled out, so you can hear more about that. And look, y'all, this is the face off. It's me and Denise Parker. Let's get this thing done, y'all.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. We will see you next week. Next Tuesday, we start back up with a slate of candidates coming through for their one-on-one interviews. So thank you so much and be safe this weekend. And before we go, who are you picking for?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know either. All right, see y'all later. Good night.
Good night.